Hello, y'all. This is Julian Rico with college football week 8 picks. And you might be thinking these games are going to be fun to watch. They are. Currently, I'm watching the Yankees and Guardians game right now, which, oh my goodness, the Guardians never give up. It's 5-5 in the top of the 10th inning. So, yes, currently I'm watching that right now. Let's get to these picks. Let's start with Friday. Florida State taking on Duke at 7 p.m. on ESPN2. Duke is a minus 3-point favorite. This should be a really fun one. Of course, we know these two teams, of course, they hate each other. So this is one of those good games. I'm going to take Duke over Florida State. I think Duke wins it by 4. Number 2 team in the country, Oregon taking on Purdue. 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Oregon is a 28.5-point favorite after getting an emotional win against Ohio State. Yes, last week. What a great game between Oregon and Ohio State. Now taking on Purdue, which they are coming off a loss that it could have been a good Illinois team. I'm going to take Oregon in this game, but I think it's 28.5 is too much because, again, when you come in, big wins, this is one of those, letdown games. I'm going to say Oregon wins it, and I think they win this by 16 in this one. Oklahoma State taking on 13th team in the country, BYU at 10:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. BYU is a minus 9.5, and BYU is in the real team to face in the Big 12. While the Cowboys are not going, their season's not going well. They're 3-3, and you want to talk about a team like the Cowboys? Ugh. It's tough. It's tough to see that kind of team. But I'm going to take BYU, but I think this game will be a little bit of a close one. I'm saying BYU wins it by 5. All right, to the games to watch. 6th team in the country, Miami taking on Louisville at 12 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN+. Miami's a minus 5. Miami's a favorite by a 5-point favorite. I'm going to take Miami in this one. They will win this by 4. Virginia taking on 10th team in the country, Clemson at 12 p.m. Eastern on the ACC network. Clemson is a minus 21-point favorite. I think Clemson keeps this winning streak rolling. I say they win this by 24. All right, this is a fun one. This is really going to be a fun one. Nebraska on the road to take on the 16th team in the country, Indiana, the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. 12 p.m. Eastern on Fox, the big noon Saturday. The Hoosiers are at 6.5 favorites. Nebraska, one more win, and they get bowl eligible for the first time since 2016. Will it happen? I'm going to take the Hoosiers in this one. It's a tight game. I think Nebraska would want to be ready for that Ohio State game. So give me the Hoosiers by 4. A trap game from Missouri as the Auburn Tigers take on 19th team in the country, Missouri, at 12 p.m. on ESPN. Missouri is a minus 4-point favorite. Of course, you know Auburn and Missouri have a rivalry, of course, and Auburn tries to keep it close. I'm going to say Missouri keeps it, and they win it by 6. South Carolina taking on Oklahoma, 12:45 p.m. Eastern on SEC Network. The Sooners are a 1.5-point favorite in this game. I think really because of South Carolina's big game against Alabama, fortunately end up a loss, but this team is really good. Taking on a Oklahoma Sooners team that they got their butts kicked by Texas. Is this a must-win for the Sooners? Yes. I'm going to take the Sooners in this one. I think they win this by 2 points, and they survive against South Carolina. All right. The 7th team in the country, Alabama, taking on the 11th team in the country, Tennessee, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN+. Alabama's a -3-point favorites. Of course, this game is Alabama's back in Knoxville for the first time since that classic game back in 2021, I believe, when Tennessee upset Alabama. This is a fun one, really good game. I'm going to take Alabama in this one. I think Alabama wins it by 2. 12th team in the country, Notre Dame taking on Georgia Tech, a 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Notre Dame is a -10-point favorite. Not so fast. How is this a 10-point favorite when Georgia Tech is having what I believe to say a best season so far? I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one still, but I think the Yellow Jackets will keep it close. Give me the Notre Dame winning it by 4. All right, this should be a good one. 24th team in the country, Michigan, taking on 22nd team in the country, Illinois, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS and Paramount Plus. Michigan is a -4-point favorite. Of course, you're talking about a good game between Illinois and Michigan. Michigan has won 6 straight against Illinois. Their last loss against Illinois was since 2009. I'm going to take Michigan. I think they will run the ball against that Illinois defense. They win this by 5. Colorado taking on Arizona at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Arizona is a -2.5 favorites after coming off a disappointing loss against BYU on the road. Taking on a Colorado team that, yes, they're coming off a disappointing loss to Kansas State, which would have been their year to go to a Big 12 conversation talk. I'm going to take Colorado in this one. I think this is my upset for this one. I'm going to Colorado winning it by 5. UCF take on the 9th team in the country, Iowa State, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Iowa State is a 13.5 favorites, and I think they do it. I think Iowa State wins it by 14. 7th team in the country, Kansas State taking on West Virginia, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Kansas is a -2.5 favorites. Interesting because, remember, West Virginia is still a really solid, good team. This is a real good team. Another night game for them, and it's another tough road game for this game. I'm going to say Kansas State wins this one on the road, wins it by 3 in this one. Iowa taking on Michigan State at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Iowa's a -5.5 favorite. I'm going to take Iowa. I think coming off a big win against Washington, I think going on the road to Michigan State will be a good one. I say they win it by 7. Kentucky taking on Florida on 7:45 p.m. Eastern on SEC Network. Kentucky's a 1.5-point favorite. I think Florida wins it. Because they would probably want to be ready for that Georgia game that they're hoping to be ready for. I'm going to go Florida. This is my other upset for this week. Florida wins it by 3. UNLV taking on Oregon State at 10 p.m. Eastern on DCW Network. UNLV is a 6.5 favorites. I think UNLV responds. They get it back. I say they win this by 8. All right, to these surprising games that we'll probably assume could happen. East Carolina taking on 23rd team in the country, Army, 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. I'm going to take Army in this one against Eastern Carolina. Pirates, but Army wins it. Wisconsin taking on Northwestern at 12 p.m. Eastern on BTN. This should be a fun one. I'm going to take Wisconsin in this one. Close game. They win it by 4. And I forgot to write the spread on this game, so I'm sorry. UCLA taking on Rutgers at 12 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Good one. Is this the chance for Rutgers to respond in this one against a UCLA team that's gotten some rough road to Sean Foster? I'm going to take Rutgers here. They win this by 10. Arizona State take on Cincinnati at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. I'm going to say Arizona State wins it on the road in Cincinnati after coming off a big win against Utah. Give me that Arizona State winning it by 2. Fresno State taking on Nevada. This is a Friday game. 10:30 p.m. Eastern on the CBS Sports Network. I'm going to take Fresno State in this one. They win it by 5. Wake Forest taking on UConn. How about that? We never talk about UConn football. 12 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. UConn is a 1.5 favorite. I'm going to take Wake Forest. I think really good game. They win it by 1. UNL taking on Coastal Carolina at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. UL is a 4.5 favorite. I'm going to take UNL. They will win this by 6. Central Michigan taking on Eastern Michigan. A rivalry between these two at 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Eastern Michigan is a 3.5 favorite. I'm going to take Eastern Michigan here, winning it by 2. Tulsa versus Temple at 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Temple is a -3-point favorite. I'm going to take Temple. I know this is a good game, but Temple wins it by 4. Charlotte taking on 25th team in the country, Navy, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Navy is a 16-point favorite, and they should be. I'm going to take Navy in this one. They win it by 20. NC State taking on Cal at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network. Cal is a -9.5 favorites in this one. I'm going to take Cal. Cal will win this one by 7. Houston taking on Kansas at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Kansas is a -5.5 favorite. Well, why they are a 5.5 favorites? Yep. They need to win the most. So give me Kansas. I think Kansas wins it. So give me the Jayhawks. Let you know before I keep going, the Guardians won. Yes, walk-off win. Yankees 5, Guardians 7 ball game. Yep, that hurts. That hurts. Continue on our picks. This is a good one. The Tulsa Rockets take on Northern Illinois. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. At 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Northern Illinois is a -3-point favorite. Man, I think this should be a fun one. I'm going to go Northern Illinois by 4. Western Michigan take on Buffalo at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Western Michigan is a 1-point favorite. I'm going to take Buffalo winning it. Buffalo wins it by 3. USC taking on Maryland at 4 p.m. Eastern on FS1. USC is a 7.5 favorite after a disappointing loss to Penn State. Yep. And what's going to happen in this game? USC is going to win it. They will respond and they will beat Maryland by 8. 8th team in the country, LSU taking on Arkansas at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. LSU is a 1.5 favorite after coming off an impressive win against Ole Miss. Now going to Arkansas to take on the Razorbacks. I think LSU wins it, but I think it's going to be a really tight game. I said LSU wins it by 2. 21st team in the country, SMU taking on Stanford at 8 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network. SMU is a 16.5 favorites. I'm going to say SMU wins it, and they will win it by 15. And then finally, TCU taking on Utah at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Utah's a 3.5 favorites. Yes, Cam Rising is out for the season, so now all attention goes to Utah. This could be an upset here, but I think Utah prevails. Give me Utah by 3. All right, to the game of the week. This is the game that I will be watching, hopefully. 5th team in the country, Georgia, taking on the number 1 team in the country, Texas. 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN+. Texas is a -5-point favorite. All right. This is where the game really gets interesting. Georgia, they're 5-1. Their only loss was Alabama in the game of the week. And what could be the game of the season, maybe the game of the season. Texas is undefeated, and they're coming off a dominant win against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. This is going to be a fun one. I mean, I think you talk about Georgia's defensive line versus Texas offensive line. Which of those two is going to win the battle? Of course, you got Carson Beck versus Quinn Ewers. Those two guys who are going to the draft this year, this upcoming draft. Those two have played really well this season. I think the game comes down to who gets the ball last. Again, just like Georgia and Alabama, Alabama dominated everything until Georgia came back in the second half. And then, of course, you know the story, Alabama won the game. This is a fun one. I want to pick the Georgia Bulldogs in this one, but I don't think so. I think the Longhorns will put those Longhorns up, and they will win it. Here's the score. Georgia 28, Texas 34. Why? Because you talk about Texas now in the conversation of winning the SEC, maybe in the SEC championship game. And they could play maybe LSU or Alabama for a good reason. But you talk about a Georgia team that they got one loss. And if they win this game, can we see who will go to the SEC championship game between maybe Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and on Texas? It's going to come down to those 5 teams. But if Texas wins, now the season comes down to Georgia, Alabama, or Tennessee, and LSU. Which of those is going to play Texas in the SEC championship game? But I'm going to hook those horns there. I'm going to go Longhorns. I just think the Texas Longhorns will get it done in home against the Georgia Bulldogs. That is it for today, and for more, I will hope to release my NBA predictions. You never seen that happen before. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and folks, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.